All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm Geerten Vuister. I'm the chair of the CCPN project. And by now it has become a good tradition that actually Vicky and I do give you the update of the project, where I do the boring part, what we've been doing, and she shows you all the nice new features and the cool things that we are planning to be doing. So we will not diverge from that model. So bear with me for the first 10 minutes or so. You can see all our faces here. So we have a team. Nothing has changed since last year. We're all here except for Frankie Ann, who is our admin, and she's a golden edition. She solves many of our admin related problems. Dan wasn't there last time. Sorry, Dan. It feels like you're already on the project for so long. No, you were not there. So Dan is our new developer, working together with Ed primarily. So he is really the one been fixing many of the bugs and putting in some small new features and all kinds of things. So helping Ed out to get things going more quickly. Just a reminder, most of you probably know this, that we are an international project with 21 partners. You see them scattered throughout here and listed on the map. So look them up. They provide a really good source of knowledge for those of you who are sort of new to the field, that these people are involved with the project, and we can draw on their expertise to help you out. Yeah, so I put this one in. So we have, of course, these 4 programs of 5 if you can build. And what we see when you register, all the years we've seen the registration. I'm not sure, look at what the meaning of this green box is. That what we expect 2,000 people to register in the coming months, and we make this in June, but it doesn't matter. I think sort of renewals or new things, but it's clearly been growing. And these are the daily, or I think it's on a week basis or month basis, daily active users, because when every time you start up the program, then of course it goes back and see if you have a license when you register. So it could be that there's also people that keep that program open for a whole month. And of course, it doesn't crash. So anyway. But I think over the last sort of 5 years, what you see is that we have actually a steady increase in our user base, and I think that's brilliant. We always do outreach. So just a little list of the workshops. So we are now on the schedule doing about 6 to 8 a year. Some of them in person, some of them online. The last one actually was at the Euromar just 2 weeks ago, and this one was just this morning. So this shows how accurate and up to date we are. We have 2 more upcoming. There is an MBO course in Grenoble, and the Swedish and the Mars Center is doing their graduate training program. I think it's open to more than just Swedish people, and we'll be there also giving workshops and few talks. I was in Toronto. Luca was in a business development meeting in Leicester, and Vicky did some panel discussion and some teaching lesson in Aston, and I didn't know when this was. I should have asked you on that one. We've put in a bit of effort to writing up some papers recently. This one here, actually, there's a poster out there for the people involved. That was a long thing going, so it describes the WPDB validation pipeline and how that all puts together. Elisa is a good joint first author. She spent a lot of time and effort in there. We have a paper together with the South African group on putting in AI, so it's part of the platform now, the new training network that they've done for environment assignment. I've made it mine. Assignments, so it's in the paper on revision. We have this paper describing the metabolomics database that Marie referred to recently. It's already as a biosphere paper that you can download and look up, and we're submitting it to another journal quite rapidly. And Vicky wrote a perspective on how we should be dealing with dynamics data. And that's under review with JBNMR. So hopefully we'll get that open soon as well. Obviously, we have funded projects which pays 3 of the developers. We have now 2 people being paid from industrial money. We'll come back to that in a second and show you all the people, the groups are there. But we also have been applying to other funding streams most recently. So this is not chronologically because this is an ongoing discussion within the digital research infrastructure framework from EPSRC. There is a new call out going to come out for funded CCPs to put in proposals for essentially doing new things. And we have gotten together with all the CCPs in the biosciences, so the CCP4, CCPM, CCP Biosim, and CCP SAS, to come up with a joint proposal which will be focused around dynamics with simulation at the core and how that relates to experimental observable parameters. That's essentially the core idea which will be in here. So we're working on that, and this call should be coming out relatively soon.
Right, today, actually.
Came out today. Then there is another call that came out a few weeks ago, a few months ago, VR24. So we have a proposal out there to continue the metabolics database work of Morgan together with Ludwig and Marie, our co-applicants on this one. And the partners are EBI, BMRB, and HMDB. So the 3 major repositories that supply and that have metabolomics data there. We'll hear the sponsors are in September for that one, but obviously we still direct that one. If you have any suggestions or ideas or things that, well, this one is written up for us, for this one, you say, oh, that would be great. We're interested in doing that. Just come to me and we see how many of, or what kind of those ideas we can incorporate in. So the industrial subscribers, you see them listed over here. There are more than 20 paying subscriptions. I haven't really counted them. But it funds Luca for 0.8, then for 1.0, and Frankie for her part-time 1.5 FTE, so almost 2 FTEs are being financed now from money that we earn externally from subscription to run, which I think I'm really proud of that one actually, and it's really great to have additional people, of course, on the project doing all the work that needs to be doing. Yeah, this is something which we've been doing actually in 2 batches, which was, there was Leicester had some ERI, which is a transferable amount for, well, similarly can transfer to technologies to industry. So we got a small grant in March 2023, and then the second one, which we spent between December last year and February of this year, essentially getting 2 developers from this small company in Portugal, Omnium AI, which is a small SME that provides artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions for the biosciences. So the whole idea was that we would come up with AI-based, machine learning-based algorithms, but develop sort of a framework and a thinking how we could use their AI machine learning platform targeting NMR-related problems. And so we took a couple of case studies and decided something like a workflow, a pipeline, and experimented with that, which essentially says that we have our input data. Maybe we should just use the mouse. Oh, let's see a mouse over here. So our NMR input data with some pre-processing steps. Then it goes to their platform, which does its magics and comes back with some models and parameters and whatever you have it. We've talked about that process quite extensively in the whole session. And then we have some post-processing and analysis and visualization on our side again. So we took two case studies. One related to peak picking. That's something we all do, and I had some ideas about this one. So we came up that actually we're doing this in 2 steps. One step was object detection, just like machine learning and AI is very good in recognizing objects. So we said, let's find where potential peaks could be present, and then classify those objects as either being a peak, not a peak. And in the second stage, we have said, well, there could be one or more peaks. So there is a set of overlapping peaks, because that's the hard part. And an isolated peak recognized that is not signal noise, not a problem. Any other one can do it. But recognizing peaks against noise or in partially overlapping situations is much, much harder. So that seemed to be working actually quite well. So not just on the one step was clearly not sufficient, but if you do the two steps you see here, the confusion matrix with only very small false positives and far less negatives. And we didn't do a full cross validation on this one before you ask. This is just a sort of proof of principle initially. The second test project was in automated methodological profiling, and I'm slightly more at loss over here. So I think Morgan and I think it was you working with Alexander tried three kind of points, essentially binning on the whole spectrum and three kinds of philosophies, and you see sort of the score and the outcome in this this matrix over here, and I believe the results were somewhat reasonable, but you have to ask Morgan for the exact significance of this table, because I haven't done that. I apologize for that. But essentially came up with that the full spectrum and the slice spectrum, two approaches were the best strategies in this particular case. Moving on to the next topic, as you know, I'm also the chair of the NMR Exchange Format Working Group, which means that we're trying to continuously push this this idea. Right now, we have version 2, which underpins the validation pipeline, which is essentially the factor standard, and programs like ARIA and Explore already talk version 1.2. We are writing up the paper with the formal description of the standard and what it can actually do. But in the discussions, we figured that we should extend the NF protocol to include dynamic state type data. And last year, actually during the CCPN conference, when Kumaran from the BMRB was here, we had the first discussion over the year. We followed this up, and it's been slow, but right now there's a white paper out written by Lisa and Vicky and Gary and myself, but with input of quite a bit of other people. Is it already on the NEF website now? At the moment, we have sent the paper to the BMRB and to some other people to comment on. But if you are interested and you have ideas, you want to participate, let us know, because then we can keep you sort of in the discussion loop. Now, I'm not saying that this is the ultimate answer and this is the best way. It's the first proposal to start a discussion. And the whole idea is that we would define new data elements, which are called safe frame in star format, which are relaxation lists. So that's sort of abstract from the BMRB, which already there had. We looked to a hard look on what was already in there. But importantly, there's also the second set of data, which we call the series, which essentially ties rates to experimental data points. And to make that visually attractive, here's quite a complicated CPG profiles with different curves and different things. You want to be able to correlate these data points here with the resulting curves that are being listed essentially as rates or exchange rates or whatever it is relative to a model. So that's what the series does, coupled solution, that's indicated in the different colors on how that would fit in this particular series frame type. Now, whereas the first part of data is something that BMRB has, this is entirely new. It doesn't exist at all. So we are quite curious to see what the response will be of other people in the community to include in this. The idea is that if you want to have R1 relaxation rates, that's relatively simple, exponential decay, whatever, and you could do this. This will be optional, connecting your experimental NMR peaks or data points or whatever it's derived from to the resulting curves. Okay, so we've been doing that. Now, just a reminder that as of January 2025, we will no longer support version 2. We will not compile it. We will not fix bugs. We will, I mean, it's free for you to do that if you want to be a community and still support it, but we will not do it. We find increasingly that it's very, very difficult to even compile and to do it on different platforms. And I'm not sure we've even managed to do it on Windows 11, but we will not do it. Version 3 is more than capable of doing whatever you want. And so it is really now dead in the water. So I'm now going to hand over to Vicky.
Right, yeah, so version 2 is over. Let's have a look at what we've been doing with version 3. Obviously, since we announced the release of 3.20 last July, there have been various updates that have come out. You will see that here in July, so that was on Friday actually, we released sort of 3 updates or 3 version increases all in one go. That's actually, we're going to probably sort of increase the rate at which we up this final number a bit more, so that it's easier to kind of track which bits have been added to the program at what point. So what's actually new in that case? So we've got a few sort of smallish things that have been added. So as well as being able to read PDB files, we can now read MNZIP files. If you want to simulate peak lists, we've got a number of new experiment types that we've added for that. The ever popular propagate assignments from version 2 has now been added, and I would argue in a even more flexible way. So you can do it from one peak specifically targeted to others rather than just swapping assignments. And Luke has also put in place a number of things just to make analysis screen a bit more robust. The next task on that is going to be to write that up and get that published together with the folk at Novartis who've been helping us with this work. Right, then we've got other things. So this is a feature which anyone who ever used to use Sparky, I've forever had Sparky users coming up to me saying, "Can I synchronize my axes?" And so now you can, you know, so you can see that basically as you move one axis in one window, then it will also move or zoom in the other one, or you can sort of set it up for all windows in one go. Obviously multiple axes if you want, etc. So that's hopefully, yeah, I think it's still, you can see it sort of says alpha version. I don't think we've not had any problems with it. No one else has reported any problems. Do let us know if there are any problems. Otherwise, we'll, I guess, remove the alpha bit. Elisa has now just finished writing a nice macro to give you some statistics on your assignments. And help you identify missing shifts, an overall view of all your assigned chemical shifts, and importantly, give you a really nice summary table, which is exactly what our editor-in-chief of biomolecular NMR assignments would like you to put into your submissions. Thank you for sponsorship also of this conference. Drag and drop ChemComp. So this is really for people who are working with peptides and want to use non-canonical amino acids. So you can basically in ChemBuild create sort of versions of those amino acids, just drag them into the program. We've now got a new pop-up there for the creation of your chains. And then in this case, we've got a sort of phosphorylated serine, yes, phosphorylated serine, I think, has just been added nicely in there. So that sort of thing has become much easier, more streamlined, and a number of videos and documentation online to walk you through all those things if that's something you're interested in. And it's really part of a package of a number of things that we've been doing over recent months to make it easier to work with peptides. An increasing number of people are interested in working with peptides, particularly amongst our industrial users. So we've now got, again, some documentation just pulling together all the different features that we've got that might help people who are working with peptides. On the topic of documentation, we've been putting together quite a bit of documentation on various things. Oh, I should say, yes. So the next stage on this is hopefully to have a bit of an assignment tutorial for people, because I think there are a lot of people who are interested in this who haven't really got much experience of working with biomolecules, and so I think that's going to be helpful. So one of the other things where we've added some documentation is around the way in which we deal with signal to noise. We've actually changed that. Lots of different equations and definitions of this out there, and so this kind of explains the various different equations there are. And what definitions we use, and in particular for 1D spectra, we've now made a change. So previously your noise level also acted as the threshold above which your peak picking was done, and really something, you know, that was kind of mixing two things together. So we've now got separately the noise thresholds, which are obviously a sort of statistical thing based on your experimental data, and then separately you've got a peak picking exclusion area outside of which you might want to pick your peaks. The next thing we're going to have to look at in this area is what to do with AI process data, because some people have already started bringing that in, and of course you don't have a sort of traditional signal to noise or sort of traditional sort of noise levels in those sorts of spectra. So we're going to have to think a little bit about how we deal with those. We also put quite a bit of documentation out there on titration, starting with practical aspects, lots of different equations, all the various derivations that tend to get left out of papers, but are actually quite nice to follow through. I had hoped that I'd be able to say, oh, we've got lots of these equations now in the new version. Unfortunately, Luca ended up in hospital last week, and so they're not quite in yet, but hopefully within a few weeks that'll be done. And this is, I suppose, also just part of our general effort, also not just to provide software, but also help people with sort of best practice and that kind of thing. So Morgan obviously is coming towards the end of his PhD, but that means he's done lots of work, which is now sort of coming to fruition on the metabolomics side. So as you'll have already heard several times today, he's worked on what we're terming ChasmDB, so his remediated database of references, drawing things together from other databases, and that's now available certainly as part of our tutorial data in NEF format. I think we'll have to find somewhere on the website where we make it more generally available for people to download. Now we've got a nice new tutorial on how you can do this profiling by reference, so what people might otherwise have done using economics. So you can see here we've introduced, in this case, lactic acid, and we can nicely move the peaks to line them up with our experimental spectrum, change the scaling, etc. So you can get some quantitative information out of that as well. And then finally, he's also got a nice method for you to be able to add your own compounds to your own custom database. So kind of drawing on what Marie was saying about the fact that there are a whole load of unidentified peaks, you know, you might want to in some way annotate those, and you can do that now. Okay, so looking to the future, I'm really excited about this. This is a 4-year battle I have been waging with at the University of Leicester. So basically, those of you who use a Mac will have noticed that when you try and run our program, you get told, oh, this is something terribly dangerous, so you've downloaded off the internet and I really wouldn't run this. And you have to basically you know, get rid of all your security features in order to run the program. Hopefully, again, this was delayed by the hospital visit, but hopefully within the next couple of weeks, Luca can get this sorted and we'll have a Mac version out there signed off with the University of Leicester Apple developer license, so you can just download it and use it correctly. So yeah, sometimes it pays to be persistent. But the other thing we've got is an analysis structure. We've got quite a few new things coming. So we did have quite a nice, well, we have got quite a nice way of linking with Explore and also through NEF with ARIA. With Cyana, it's always been a little bit trickier because Cyana works to not the 1.2 NEF specification, but a slightly older one. But Elisa has been working around that, and so we're going to have a nice way for you to be able to link with Cyana, send off your data, get results back again, or indeed do it to several software packages in one go. And also being able to do just refinements rather than sort of ab initio structures, and having a nice log table. So, and I think it's generally also a bit more user-friendly, hopefully. The other thing, I guess, linked is integration with Artina, so that if you want to use the Artina web server to do your assignments for you, you can now, again, it will output a NEF file, and you can then bring that in, do a few tweaks, and then have a look at those assignments. So I think these are still working on the documentation, but hopefully that will be available soon. Slightly longer is integration with Guy Monteleone's RPF web server. So to again get validation parameters from that. So it's essentially about them making that NEF compatible. And then one of the nice things, I think, from what I've understood from Elisa, is that you're going to be able to also compare things with AlphaFold structures and kind of basically help verify AlphaFold structures with NMR data. And then we'll start looking at various other tools that will to be directly within the program to help you validate some of your data. As well as analysis structure, we've got a lot happening in what we are now terming analysis dynamics. So we've already got implemented ways for you to look at relaxation curves, analyze heteronuclear NOE data, also get some of the derived data by doing spectral density mapping. But Luke has been working together with Fred Muscat at the University of Leicester to create really a much wider range of tools. So that includes being able to import and export data to external programs that will analyze dynamics data, but also do various bits of rates analysis in the program. He's implemented the complete sort of model-free style analysis of dynamics data, and then obviously also be able to analyze CES and CPMG data. So all of that is going to be coming up in the next few months. And then also, as part of that, the sort of current dynamics implementation of the rates analysis will also include much more, many more options in terms of how you want to do your minimization, being able to exclude or only use a subset of residues, how to estimate errors, etc. Otherwise, we've got a few more sort of version 2 features to implement, so we'll be working on that. And there are also a few plugins which we've talked in before, that collaborations with other people that we just need to finalize, and again get documentation out there, perhaps do some workshops for people to be able to start using them. The other thing which has been happening in the background, which mainly Geerten and Ed have been working on, is version 4. So you were just thinking, we're only just getting onto version 3. Now you're hitting us with this. You'll see in a moment it's not as bad as it sounds. It's really come about because so some of the graphics are a little bit slow. Anyone who's tried to do stuff with lots of strips will have found that our program can get a little bit slow. So we had to sort of look at the graphics anyway. And so this is going to be a chance to start using Py2T6 rather than version 5. We're also at the moment using a lot of GL, and OpenGL is going to be retired. So we're going to think about which sort of follow-on we're going to use after that. And it's also going to be a way, at that point, we will really have completely separated all the sort of operational, what the program does, from all the graphics. So essentially you could run the program without any of the graphics. You can do all things just on the command line, any of the analysis kind of work. It makes the program much easier to maintain and for the future. So I think for users, you will find that it's not as big a step as certainly as version 2 to version 3 was. So this is what version 3 might look like at the moment. The equivalent in version 4 would look like this. Obviously, we haven't got any spectra in there at the moment, but you can see that the layout is essentially very similar. and there's a few more buttons going on up here and that kind of thing, but otherwise it won't be such a big step for you, but it will become much easier, for instance, just to sort of bring up extra panels, in this case to see where your project file, get some information about your project files, or to bring up a help panel with some information. You'll be able to minimize your windows nicely and just have them down here rather than closing them each time. And that was a big driver again for this, is that we'll be able to have not just strips, but we'll be able to have sort of horizontal separators as well, and have this sort of tiling going on. And we're actually really flexible about what we can do in our Spectrum displays. So hopefully this is going to be all good and only bring you lots of joy. So it just remains to say thank you as ever to everyone who's contributed to the project, developers past and present, all our partners in various parts of the world, and thanks for continuing to support the project.